So welcome back, drifters. Today what we're doing is we're taking the engine and all the parts that we need to down to the machine shop so we can figure out exactly how much it's going to cost to get this thing rebuilt and fix all the problems that we ran into. This will give you a good idea if you're ever looking at actually rebuilding an engine as to why you probably don't want to unless if you're doing some serious upgrades, because it's going to be pretty expensive. But I'll try to break that all down. But first I need to load this thing up, get it in the truck, and get down there. Let me show you all the parts that we got to load up because it's a lot. So firstly, we have the engine, which obviously we wrapped it up just to protect it, especially on the underside, because that's the oil pan and we don't want to destroy that surface, and we don't want to have anything scratch on the surface of the heads because yeah, it would be more expensive. We don't want that. So I got the main caps all set up, ready to go, harmonic balancer, and all the little nuts and bolts we're gonna be using. Because we're using studs, we need to get it all measured and tested when we're down there. So they'll check all that out, but they're gonna need the actual hardware because this can change the clamping force. So it's very important we give that to them. Okay, so what we got here is the new pistons. It's gonna have the wrist pins and all that, rings, everything. They're gonna need that so that way they can check to make sure it's gonna fit, or if it's going to need to be honed and all that good jazz. We also have to bring them the flywheel as well as the pressure plate. The clutch isn't really necessary, but the pressure plate is because they're going to need to balance it, as well as all the bolts that go with it. All right, I know it's bad, okay? My truck is a mess, but you know what? It does its job, okay? Just bear with me. But anyway, I got the crankshaft setting straight up because you don't want this thing laying flat. It's just not good for it. And I got it nice and buckled in. So now let's go load up that engine and get it put inside the truck. But first I need to get this thing out of the way. Man, I love that car. All right, let's get this engine out. Well, I guess I should have been thinking before I saran wrapped that, but that's okay. Nothing this hook can't pierce. There we go. Nice. So now I got it nice and supported, I'm just gonna undo these bolts that way we can free it up. Whoops. All right, there goes all the washers. That's okay, we don't need those washers right now. We'll get those later. There we go. All right, bye-bye washers. Nobody needs those. Okay, cool. Engine stands free. So now we just gotta go pull the engine and go put it in the truck. Nice and easy there, bud. Oh yeah. Ooh, here we go. Now comes the fun part of getting this thing up on the truck. It could definitely be a pain, but I think we'll be okay. I definitely want to put this on something kind of soft because I don't want to damage it. That's why we also wrapped it. But I've got this wonderful tire here, which should do a good job. Gotta pump it up, pump it up. This is much lighter than when it had everything in it. Now that it's just a bare block. Coming down. I just gotta tie this puppy down. Is this part even interesting? I don't even know. That ain't going anywhere, look at that. Oh yeah, we're good. Whew. Get on out of here, baby. All right, let's get down to the machine shop. Here we are, this is the place. We've come here for a lot of business and they've always done good stuff for us. See, now that's something that'd be nice to have. Wow. That's a whole lot easier than the cherry picker I use. That's nice. All right, there it goes. We'll see you in a little bit. So we got more questions than answers, but basically it's looking like we don't know exactly how much it's gonna cost just yet, so I'm gonna have to fill you all in when I find out, which will continue as soon as I know, which is probably not gonna be today. So it looks like at least a 3-week turnaround for right now. So if time is an issue, that's something to consider as well. All right, so it's about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks later. I don't know. It's been a lot of back and forth between here and the machine shop getting all the parts that we needed. Basically, make sure you got the right bolts if you're going to be doing this because there was a lot of running around with that. But it's okay. We got it figured out. We're now at about 3 weeks since we dropped off the parts, I think. I'll have to check. But anyway, I'm gonna go pick them up and let's find out what the damage is. So it would make sense the one day we go to do this that it's nice and muggy out. Looks like it might be raining, so that's a bit unfortunate. All right, got her all loaded down. All right, let's head on out. We got everything loaded up. Time to go take a look at the bill. Okay, now we just need to get this sucker back onto that stand. Whew. Whew, 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 whew. This is fun. Ah! Fuck. Damn it. Come on, baby. There she is. Oh, sounds like Chris got here. Thought I heard a BRZ. Suppy, suppy.
Goddamn.
Look at this shiny new bitch. Yeah. What do you think about the bores?
Holy shit.
Yeah, they cleaned them right the fuck up.
Damn, I don't think me going out with 800 grit sandpaper.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. That's pro right there. That's pro level right there.
Sure, so we could have done better.
Yeah. Bro, I was so I was like, when they called me this morning, I was like, are you guys lying to me? I can't take another lie right now. I was like, this better not be a joke. My heart can't take it.
Today was the day because the high is like 55 degrees.
Hell yeah. Okay, here we go. There she goes. All right. Now we're on the stand. Okay, so moment of truth. So this is a part you've all probably been waiting for, or maybe not. Rule number one is, well, don't blow your engine so you don't have to get it rebuilt, because it is very expensive compared to if you just didn't blow it up in the first place. So what we had to have done, we had to get the block taken care of because those valves got taken out. And essentially to get the block cleaned, it was about $85. We had to get it checked, so we needed to make sure that the bores were the right size, that they weren't out of round, and that it was overall good. That, as well as honing the cylinder by, what is this, 0.003 thousandths of an inch, is $125. Okay, so not too bad, not too bad. They had to do cam bearings because the one was completely destroyed. So, and that was not too bad. That was $80. Let's see, check and align bore. So that is basically where they're gonna take this thing, they're gonna put down all the main caps and they're gonna check to make sure it's all square and that none of the main caps have shifted or anything like that. And then they're gonna, if it is, then they'll hone it perfectly straight. Ours turned out to be good, so it didn't need any extra work, but that was also $95. They cleaned and checked and polished the crank because that's something you have to do whenever you get this done. So luckily it was fine, it polished up fine, they didn't have to grind it, so we get to use standard size bearings, but again, $120. And so then we had to go and we had to do the valve job. Now this was obviously going to be the most expensive work because the heads were completely destroyed. So what we ended up having to get done was the valve job. For a V8 is $220, okay? Now that's pretty common, but they had to resurface the head as well as clean it up because of the damage. So that was, let's see, $120. And then we had to hone the bushings to size, which is basically our connecting rods. When we ordered the pistons were not the exact correct size. And this is one thing you were gonna wanna check. The wrist pin in that thing was stock is I think it's 643 or something like that, but the ones that we got were 645, so 2 thousandths off. Luckily they were able to resize it, but again, this is where the nickel and diamond comes in. When they went to go do that, it was $60, so not too terrible. And then balancing the engine. Now, you don't technically have to balance an engine, you know, but we're going so far because we want to make sure that there's no problems, because when we lighten up the pistons by going with forged pistons, we want to make sure it's not going to cause any issues and the whole engine is just going to vibrate itself apart. So balancing the engine cost us about $250, okay? So now that is a very important thing because of what it's going to do for the engine, and it's going to increase the longevity of it, as well as just make it a lot smoother. Now when they balance it, they have to also get the flywheel and the pressure plate, and ours, luckily they marked it so it's easy to tell which orientation it goes when we put it back together. But yeah, they have to get everything when they do a balancing. So what they do is they take the pistons, they take the rods, they take the crank, they take your flywheel, your pressure plate, or flex plate if you're doing an automatic, and they're going to make sure it's completely balanced. I mean, to the point of like balancing it based on the weight of your bolts. So it's very, very important that all that's there. So don't get me started on bolts. We had to make like 6 trips. It's part of the reason it took so long, because we just kept having either the wrong bolts, or they weren't the ones that they needed, or they just didn't happen to fit. So when you're doing your research, make sure you get all the bolts you need. It'll save you a little bit of time. But ultimately, these guys did really good. They did it real fast. Obviously, you're going to have bills for like the parts. So like the exhaust valves, they had to replace a total of 7 of them and 1 intake valve. And that was $100 in parts, which that's not bad for what it is. And then, of course, cam bearings, those cost $25. So not too bad, but yeah, it does hurt. It does hurt. But it is one of those things where it's a learning experience. This is what it takes to get this stuff done and to get it done right. Now, obviously, we got our heads back. They look beautiful. We got all the parts back. Engine block's basically brand new. So in the next video, what we're going to be doing is actually assembling all this stuff, putting everything together, and getting it all built. So hopefully, if you guys want to see that, you know, be sure to subscribe, like the video, all that fun stuff. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one after we get done crying.